All right. Welcome to the Critical Levitical.
Nice.
God.
Do you want to restart that?
No, it's
Just
fine.
roll with
Sure.
it.
Yeah. We'll the
real.
Critical Levitical Podcast. We can never choose sane names for anything. I don't know what's wrong with us. Hey, but on this episode of the Critical Levitical Podcast, say that 3 times fast, and we'll send you a T-shirt.
We don't have those.
We don't yet.
Well, that's fair.
We're gonna. You probably thought we were gonna talk
We'll
about Reformation Day
mail you an
because
IOU.
we could mail you an IOU. We're not talking about Reformation Day, though it is Halloween. So we're going to talk about Halloween and share some unfiltered and maybe some filtered thoughts on Halloween and hopefully have some fun. I forgot my costume.
Same.
You got that,
I'm dressed up as Steven.
Hey, it's a
Today.
great costume.
Didn't you have a Luther costume or something you did one year?
No, it wasn't a Luther costume. It was a just like hipster Calvinist. I had
that's right. The
long
coffins.
hair in
Yeah.
like a man bun, and I had a LaCroix and a cardigan and
Nice.
like, skinnier jeans.
Those are back.
That wasn't related.
Yeah.
What
Cardigans are
was
back.
the coffee cup thing that was floating around in this office forever?
I have no idea what you're talking
Remember,
about.
it was like a sandwich board type.
Oh yeah, I did go as a coffee cup one year. Yeah, it was.
Oh, that was just
a
it.
foam
It was just,
sandwich
you were
board.
just
yeah.
a coffee cup. Okay.
Yeah, it's just a foam like.
I just
whatever.
heard hipster and I was like, it had to be part of it.
Okay.
The Critical Levitical Podcast.
Yeah,
Just keep that one rolling, man.
you want to keep past
I dig
Halloween?
that one. Yeah. Christmas season, just keep the spooky thing going.
No, I'm gonna do a different one. It'll have like
It's
jingle
going to have
bells
jingles
and
for
stuff.
sure.
Yeah, well.
We'll run that one. Actually, starting
We can start that next week,
episode and forward.
Yeah. Anyway, so hey, if you like the jaunty little Halloween Luigi's Mansion style,
That's good.
Felt very spooky.
Yeah.
in the mood now.
I'm glad we nailed it. Good. Excellent. Well, hey, it's Halloween. You guys do
Halloween.
trunk or treating, right?
We do.
Well,
We're
we're going to. This will be
Yes. This is our church's first year of trunk or treat.
Oh yeah, that's
it's
right. Yeah.
first year of everything. Yeah.
That's true. Every time you do it,
Good
it's
point.
the first time for Northeast. That's great.
That is true.
Sure. Yeah.
We will be doing a trunk or treat.
Like
We'll
this
see
Sunday
if
will be
we
your first
continue
Sunday
to.
in October or November as
Is that this Sunday?
church. Well,
Oh, yeah.
When-
Oh, yeah.
When this
you're
comes
right.
out, it will be. Yeah.
I was tripping for a second. I said, yeah, anyway. All right.
no. When is October only
Yeah, right.
27 days?
Yeah.
Steven won't be here for that.
I will not.
Sunday.
That doesn't matter.
I'm
None
out.
of that has anything to do with
It
what we're
doesn't.
talking about.
True.
Well, did you while we're here,
What's up?
you went to what's up with you, man?
Thanks for asking about me. No, I'm just kidding.
So I feel like it's Reformation Day also.
Yeah.
Which is a thing that
We
we
need to
usually
celebrate.
kind of talk about. Yeah.
Sure.
So tell us in like 30 seconds.
Ooh.
Tell us what's exciting about Reformation Day.
We have a church because of Reformation Day.
Northeast Fellowship specifically?
Sure, just Protestantism in general. I think I would say the pendulum was swinging that direction. I think obviously alongside the Enlightenment thought time period, certainly people were less and less in love with the Catholic Church. And then you had a man called by God named Martin Luther who kind of sparked the flame that really
The
lit.
man was not called Martin Luther by God. He was called by God.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted
To clarify. Yeah. I'll be quick. If you don't know the story of Martin Luther, go look it up. But basically, he was in a storm and he prayed to God. He was like, you know what? If I make it out of this storm, I'll become a monk. God, just like save me from the storm. So God saves him from the storm. He becomes a monk, starts reading the book of Romans and says, you know what? We're interpreting this wrong. Then believes in salvation by grace through faith alone. Then breaks away, posts those 95 theses, which are not all great. Read into them. Not all great.
4 of them are great.
That's right. But started the avalanche that is now known as the Protestant Reformation. So
And then he pulled the book of James out of his Bible.
yeah,
He
talk
didn't.
about that.
He didn't really care for that
kidding.
one.
He did not. No.
Which was fascinating.
And interesting. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy because I feel like
sure.
sometimes Protestants are like, yeah, Martin Luther's the best, and it's like, well,
Not really. Little anti-Semitic. Yeah. Yeah.
a little.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's not. That's the unfortunate part of all church history. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. Just like
because
people.
humanity.
That's right.
That's the problem. Is when you introduce people into
That's
the
right.
mix.
Hey, it does show God can use broken people to
That's
do
true.
very good things.
That is true.
There's a really great like Reformation history series that Ligonier put together. It's taught by Sproul.
Yeah,
Really good. There's the first episode or lesson class. I don't know what it means. Anyway, lecture. That's the one.
Nice.
He talks about a really cool bit of history with I can't remember his name. Jan something. Jan Hus.
Oh, yeah. I think it's John. Yeah.
Probably, yeah. They came 100, 200 years, something like that, before Luther. And
Was it that long? Wow.
Maybe
could
not
be.
quite that. It was a while. But his famously as he's being killed or martyred, I don't know what the right term would be there.
Both apply.
But,
sure. At the stake.
Yeah.
When
What's the exact quote? Do you remember something about you cook
yes.
this
You
goose,
always-
but a swan will
Something like
come,
that.
something like that. And then Luther was known as the Swiss, so it was just a cool.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know that you
So
can.
he's
Well, he
almost
references him.
prophetic.
Yeah, he references him in his indictment from
Yeah.
the Catholic Church.
Oh,
Like
interesting.
Martin Luther quotes him basically. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
He's like Jan the Baptist.
That's right. Except none of
Voice
them
in
were
the
Baptists.
wilderness.
Unfortunately, none of these guys were Baptists.
Well, neither was John, but
That's what. Yeah.
we get to say dibs, I guess.
true. Yeah.
Good for us.
Because of the pun, it's ours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What?
John.
John,
It's-
Jan.
Oh,
yeah,
we
get it because. Never.
Is that a pun?
Yeah.
yeah, it's a pun.
Okay.
Names can be fun. All right. Well, hey, so that's Reformation Day, which we're not actually going to talk about. We're going to talk about Halloween. So we're going to show another quick video that I think Preston found this one.
Nice.
And we're going to talk about it. It's funny. It's on the. It's not normal stuff that we would
I like it. I'm
yell
for it.
at or about necessarily, but it does kind of.
Yeah, we'll get there.
We'll get to yelling, but it'll open the door for what we're going to talk about. So here we go.
Hey everyone, it's me, the stay-at-home mom whose kids just went back to school, so now she has too much time on her hands, so she's trying to be a Christian influencer. Fall is here, and I know all my ladies are super excited about the leaves and the weather changing and pumpkin spice lattes. Oh my goodness, but as someone who follows Christ, I have just been so discouraged by the number of Halloween decorations I've seen put up by other Christians. I get it, ladies. You might think it's just a cute little piece of decor, but you are literally inviting demonic principalities into your home. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a Christian that subscribes to the power of God, but every good Christian knows that God's power evaporates at the start of October 1st and doesn't come back until after Halloween. You have to be careful, ladies. You think you're putting just a jack-o'-lantern on your kitchen counter or some spooky decor in your front lawn. Let me ask you this. What would you do if there was a ghost on your kitchen counter? What would you do if there was a demon on your front lawn? Not so funny now, is it? Not so cutesy now, is it? But no, we're just gonna pretend like everything's make-believe. Simply put, if you're a Christian, you cannot celebrate Halloween. And if you are, I am praying for you, but you better be prepared to be possessed by a million demons.
So
A million demons
Yeah,
is
that's good. That's good. Legion.
That's worse than a ghost on your counter for sure.
that's. I mean, yeah. There's probably for one. So this has nothing to do with.
Are you talking about the towel on the hair?
Yeah, so for one, it's always hilarious to
What
me
is
when guys
that?
will do those videos with the towel on the head to but it's also a little unsettling too. Like, is that
You guys are not on
appropriate?
TikTok, I take it.
Like what kills me is that
Well, no,
we
I've
just
seen it before. It's,
Okay.
Yeah.
no one ever had to explain that to me. I saw the
Right.
first one. I was like, oh, it's a woman. Okay.
Yes, yeah. Which,
What happened?
What does that say? Okay, that has nothing to do with.
We
the
just all
topic at
know.
hand.
It just feels like
Yeah.
it. Anyway.
Ladies walk around with tea towels on their head and
Tea towels.
Yeah. So that was funny. It's great. I'm here for it. But what are your thoughts? Because it's obviously referencing something
Right.
that is a thing.
Sure. Yeah. I can talk. So I understand the sentiment. Again, I've said this, I think, last episode, of people being wary of things. Of you look at Halloween, it is spooky. I'm sure there's a lot of history that Christians just don't know or maybe aren't aware of, myself included. So I understand the sentiment to be careful, but I also understand the sentiment of Christians tend to, especially online Christian influencers, tend to over-exaggerate things.
It never happens.
Oh, sorry. I mean, this is, I don't know who he's talking about. This can't be a real thing. No, I get the sentiment, but yeah, I mean, sometimes it's okay to just enjoy things.
How dare you?
I know. How dare
We
you
already
say
talked
that?
about Reformation Day. We're
That's
reformed.
right. Yeah,
we
that's
can't
right.
enjoy things.
That's right. That's a good point. Yeah. No, but this is good. This is a good video. I love parodies of things. Like you have to point out what's silly in Christendom. I think that's okay to do.
okay.
I'm here for it.
No, I don't. Okay. So first thing, I had a ridiculous week. I worked a lot of hours this week. I'm exhausted. So I didn't necessarily put a lot of research or whatever, into any sort of like well-formed thought here. So like I saw the video and I was like, I know people like this, not the parody, but like real life.
Right.
And so like I know I want to talk about this, but mainly I just want like your thoughts because I haven't had the mental bandwidth to like actually think about it. So like this is not isolated to Halloween, right? Every single like Christian holiday, or according to these people, holidays that Christians have co-opted.
Right.
You come up against this. So it's like Easter, that's pagan. Christmas, that's pagan.
Right.
Valentine's Day, that's Catholic. Maybe, I don't know.
I think you're thinking of Lent.
Saint Valentine.
Different thing.
Oh, fair.
I'm kidding. That was a joke.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I got it.
But no, we get this like every single holiday. There's like some like vocal minority who are like, actually, you can't celebrate these things because demons. It's like, okay, give me some evidence. And like, because. So like, I want like give some honest feedback on where you stand with those things. Like when you encounter that argument, let's pretend for a moment that this is just purely an apologetics conversation where you've got someone coming at you and like, you shouldn't celebrate Easter because this like background of it. Like, how do you respond to that? What is the response when someone says that Christians can't or shouldn't celebrate these things?
Yeah, Cameron, you got?
I'd love to hear your thoughts first, but I think an interesting like something to go alongside that as well is where is the claim legitimate? Like where does this concern become legitimate? So I think we can talk for one about why it's okay maybe, but also I want to talk a little bit, and maybe this gets into what we're going to talk about next, but where it's legitimate as well.
Yeah, again, you can do worse than being careful about things. So I just want that to be said. That's probably how I'd start this conversation. Or even if it's like a church member, I'd be like, yeah, I mean, I respect the desire to be careful about some things. Here's my take, I guess, on all this stuff. Like when you look at like, the Christmas tree is pagan, or like, Easter, for example, was actually some other religious holiday, and then Christians kind of hijacked it or something like that. Like maybe, but here's my problem is you see so much conflicting truths or evidence about that where it's like, first of all, even if it's true, I don't even know if that is true, but let's take for the sake of argument, let's say Easter was a pagan holiday for sure, no doubt about it, and then Christians just kind of assumed it and changed it into this other thing. It's like, well, then now it's not the same thing, it's just at the same time. And so it's like, then why is that? If you celebrate Easter, celebrating rightly the resurrection of Christ Jesus, just because it landed on the same day as some other ancient religious deal, I don't see a problem with
Right, like people have lived here for a long time,
right?
on planet Earth. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
So every single day of the year is some cultures, somewheres like pagan holiday.
Yeah.
So you can't. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like things are going to overlap.
Right.
And things, just like we talked last time with the name changing, like so do events and cultural celebrations. And if Christianity takes something and makes it holy, go for it. Like I don't know, like it's really, and all of it comes back to the heart of the person as well. If you don't feel comfortable celebrating something in particular because you don't want to open that door, like, so for example, I got a congregation member who comes up to me and says, I'm not comfortable with celebrating Halloween. Maybe they don't want to participate in a trunk or treat or something like that. I'd be like, respect your convictions. Like, it's my job to not step over that. I'm not going to ask you to do this then if you don't feel like you need to be doing that. So that's fine. If convictionally speaking, you don't wish to participate in something because you fear it is connected to some ancient, perhaps some sort of principality type deal, then fine. Then that's okay. But you cannot expect, I think, everybody rightly to follow that same framework, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that's where the issue is, right? Is when a like personal conviction becomes like an imposition, and that's where you get into like legalism territory and problems like that. Like my thing must be everybody else's thing,
right?
A great example, and we're not going to get into this debate on this particular episode. I'm sure we'll tackle it at some point, but it would be like an alcoholic who says that nobody should drink alcohol. It's like, okay, don't necessarily make your thing everybody else's thing.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, there's
you mean nuance. Like former alcoholic who says
sorry, yes,
because I was like
recovered alcoholic.
Keep it all for me. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, that's right.
Steven said to keep it all for him.
Yeah, apparently.
He does have that new wine fridge.
That's right, filled with Dr. Pepper. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so no room for the wine.
I gotta hear.
Yeah, that was my mom's favorite type of wine. Actually, was Dr. Pepper. So
Good for her.
It is the best flavor.
That's right.
I wouldn't know. Anyway, yeah. So the problem becomes when your personal conviction becomes like a public imposition.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
You have to be very, very careful about that. But where are some ways that there might be some legitimacy? Because I have one example, and really kind of maybe flows into the next thing too. But I have one thought.
No, yeah, I agree. I think so. Just take our culture. There is kind of I shouldn't say obsession, a general acceptance for satanic things. Look at horror movies, look at satanic bands, a lot of heavy metal bands. Look at, again, Halloween is a perfect example. I think there are certainly limits to Christians celebrating Halloween, let me be clear.
Oh, yeah.
So while this video is funny, it's a parody of that, there is some truth to that quote-unquote Christian influencer's claims that there are some things you need to be wary of. I don't think one of them is carving a pumpkin with your 3-year-old. But, depending on, dressing up your children as, I don't know, like witches or like spirits, or you could, I would be careful of that. I mean, I quoted Ephesians this morning, Ephesians 6, where Paul's like, our battle is not against flesh and blood. It is against these spiritual forces. And so we need to be aware of that. If our culture doesn't take it seriously because it doesn't take Christianity seriously, somebody has to. So there's a way I think Christians can lean too much into the spooky season, for sure. So yeah, there's always a balance.
Yeah, like my wife would be, if I gave her an unlimited budget, our house would be insane.
She just literally paint it orange. And
she loves Halloween. It would be
it's great. Yeah.
Like when she sees the 25-foot skeletons or whatever, she's like, I
Carmen
need
loves
5.
them too. I'm
like, those are like $750 each. We're not going to buy. We're going to buy 0.
Yeah, right.
0 is what you
I
get.
was in Home Depot a couple weeks ago getting some
Carmen's favorite place.
copies of keys made.
Yeah, it is.
It's awesome. And they put the skeletons and all that stuff like right on the other side of the key copying machine. And of course, it was the day I needed like 6 copies made, and each one of them takes 45 minutes.
Oh my word!
Not actually. It's just it
Here's
feels
the
like
thing,
forever.
Preston-
Okay, I was like, wait, really? I was like, that can't be right. Okay, anyway, keep going.
Preston only
So
endeavors in
Sure,
hyperbole.
yeah.
Yeah. And this little kid comes walking through with his family and was the type that had to know what they all sounded like at the same time.
Oh yeah.
So he stepped on every button repeatedly.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I have to, never mind. One key is enough.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'll
I'm
get the
good.
rest later. I'll get a file and make them myself.
I would probably be on the Halloween hater side if I worked at Home Depot.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Just because of that.
And that's when I hear people that are like, Christmas is awful. I'm like, did you work retail? If the answer is yes, then you're entitled to that opinion.
You must
That's
have worked
fair.
at Hobby Lobby.
Yeah.
I worked seasonally at Bath and Body Works one year.
I didn't know that.
And I literally I worked 3 shifts, I think was all they scheduled me for. One of them being Black Friday. And I was like, I've heard enough Mariah Carey for the rest of my life.
I bet.
Yeah. Stephen heard Mariah Carey for the first time 3 seconds in and said, I've heard enough Mariah Carey.
Yeah, he's like, what are these jingle bells? Down with this sort of thing.
Stephen famously hates Christmas. So
I'll get to clarify. I'll get my episode. You can have your.
No,
time
we're
in
gonna
the sun.
take a sabbatical for
I'll be able to
December.
clarify.
we'll be.
We're not
we'll
gonna
be
let you
gone
have
that
that.
day.
Sound.
Right. That's right.
I do. If there's a break here for me to add something.
Is it in this conversation?
Yes.
Go for it.
Yeah, go. Well, no, let me get to mine.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, you were in the middle, and we definitely interrupted.
Oh, my bad.
I was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
keep
25
going.
foot
Yeah, keep
skeleton.
going.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Oh yeah, 25. No, there's an element of going too far. I think for sure that we should be cautious of, because I think,
Right.
and this is where I go to with a lot. And again, this is not another topic that we're not going to tackle. Would be something like yoga, right? Where it's like, is it okay? Is it not okay? And who knows what the right answer is, but it's beneficial. It's always beneficial to critically look
that's
at
good. That's
whether it's helpful or not.
Yeah.
And maybe you pray about it, you consider, you look at the evidence, and you decide, you know what, Halloween is fine for me.
Yeah.
Great. But maybe at least have a thought about it, because
Yeah,
I think
for
we can
sure.
be too dismissive, like, oh, you're just crazy, legalistic, whatever.
Right.
And it's like, well, no, at least consider it. Do the due diligence to say, hang on, is this the right thing for my family? What am I inviting in? Because I think the discussion of, okay, this is a different thing now, or it was this holiday, now we're redeeming it, it's just happens to happen on the same day or whatever, kind of starts to lose water when you look at a lot of what God commanded throughout the Old Testament. And we talked about this a little bit in our class on Wednesday,
Yeah.
our apologetics class. with the idea of sin permeating even like the ground and the animals and our environment and our setting.
Right.
And so there's this element of like, okay, with some things, we should completely eradicate any source of sin. You look at all throughout 1st and 2nd Kings where God says, hey, remove the high places, and they don't. And you have kings that
That's right.
The narrative says they were good kings. They followed in the footsteps of their father David. Nevertheless, the high places were not removed, and you see this progression towards darkness, not away from it, because they left these little things.
Yeah.
So where do you think that line is?
Yeah, Preston, I want to hear from you too. But yeah.
Well, Cameron kind of shut me down right there because what I was going to say was let's parallel this with the thoughts that I know you have on yoga. Because we've had that conversation.
We're not going to get into yoga today.
Numerous times, but no, I mean
principle
the
applies,
same.
yeah.
The same landing as kind of what you asked right there. Like where is the line? Now, when I mentioned the like parallels with the conversation about Easter and Christmas and all these other things, and I think Halloween stands alone because it's not. There's at least not that I know of any specifically like Christian part of it, right? It's not a holiday, whether no matter what you believe.
Yeah, it's not pretending
we haven't
to be.
co-opted
Yeah,
it for anything, whatever.
Right.
So there is no like Christian celebration of Halloween, but to what you just asked there, like what with that, like what is the line? How much of it can we participate in? Because I think there's like two extremes that you see in this conversation, which is kind of like what we've talked about with like eschatology before. Like I know the ooky spooky like end times whatever is like that's the attractive thing to follow, and that's why like Left Behind is like such a popular story. And so similarly, like with Halloween, it's too easy to get like totally caught up in the like, ooh, this is spooky, this must be the thing, like this is bad because that's cool and interesting.
Same way that Baptists get about the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. And then the other extreme then is like, no, it does, everything's fine, nothing matters. Like this, it's not what we're not actually worshiping demons. So if we like draw this pentagram and light candles and splash blood on the wall, like that's just for fun.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so anyway, where's the line?
Yeah, I can talk to that, or speak my thought, I should say. Yeah, so this is the same with, I think, some sins for people. Some things that are sin for one person may not be for another. And I think
you're getting to where we're kind of going next.
Yeah, perhaps. Which that may be the passage that you're quoting. It's like don't essentially tempt one another. Yeah.
Well, it's part of that whole discourse.
Sure. Okay. Sure.
Say your thing, and then we're going to run it.
No, it's like, well, you first of all, be respectful of other believers' convictions, assuming it's a biblically based conviction. That's what I want to say. Even if it seems extreme to you, be respectful of it, assuming it's not hindering anyone else's ability to worship God. So if somebody convictionally doesn't want to celebrate Halloween, great. Then on the other side, don't expect other believers to follow your convictions. So this doesn't answer the question, but it's just the reality is like the line is going to depend on who you're talking to. If I'm talking to somebody who's come out of a satanic cult, who's like been rescued by they've been given a heart of flesh, their heart of stone has been taken out, they believed in the gospel, they started attending church, but they were a huge Halloween person. Like they did all of the things you would do on Halloween. They leaned into all the spooky spiritual things in Halloween before they were a believer. Probably a good idea to walk them through not leaning full into it, because they're a person who can, maybe they don't see the necessarily the issue with that. It could be the other extreme where now since they've been so radically saved, they look at other believers celebrating Halloween at all, and they're like, no, you can't do this. I was just rescued out of this thing. So again, that line really does, I think, depend on the person. Like it just depends on the person, the time, the place. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's good. I have thoughts.
Cool.
But first, Critical Levitical is sponsored by A Frank Voice. A Frank Voice publishes devotional and discipleship content and resources geared to help you and your family grow in your relationship with Jesus. See more about the resources and books available at www.afrankvoice.com and use the promo code CRITICAL to get 10% off your next purchase. Just stopped. That was weird.
Stephen finished it for us.
Yeah, thank you.
Coming in clutch.
Yeah, appreciate your contribution. I may have pushed a button, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. Does that
Somebody's hearing it down in the worship center or something.
There's a baby shower going on. What's wrong with you? Yeah, okay. So and I'm going to see if this other video pulls up. I forgot to save it, but I texted it to you so I can find it. I think the question or the response that people would have to that would say, like, okay, what if it's sin? Mm-hmm. Right? Because, like, if there is a sin issue, we're obligated
yeah, for sure,
to draw that out. And so I think for some people, they would look at this and say, yeah, but it's sin. You wouldn't tell me to not tell
for sure
so-and-so to not look at porn or whatever,
sure.
you know?
Yeah, I think there's differences though. Like obviously, even you just look at church discipline. Like the church is to take sin utterly seriously, like very seriously, deathly seriously, because it is the thing that kills. So yeah, I understand that the difference is though, don't think that your conviction means other people's sin or holiness. Like, so I'm trying.
How do you discern the difference?
Yeah,
I guess that's my question.
Yeah, that's what I'm, and that's a hard question to answer, right? But like, I think for one, it's like, yeah, I mean, this is going to be a tough one. I think sometimes for some people to go into a bar can be sinful.
Yeah, sure.
So I think that's a good example. Like just being there, you know it's not a good idea. You know what your tendency is. You know what your susceptibility is. You know what your past is. If you've struggled with that, at least semi-recently, that's a bad idea. Same thing with like a person struggling with pornography who has just open access to everything. Mm-hmm. That's a bad idea. Again, not necessarily sinful, but definitely trending in that direction. It's probably going to lead to that direction at some time. So being willing to see those red flags, the things that lead into temptations or the things that lead into sins, I think is the biggest one to notice, because it's hard to say one way or the other. If somebody's celebrating Halloween, they're for sure sinning. You don't know that. I think if you just have to know the person's history, their tendencies. I don't know if that answered that question, but
yeah. Do you have a thought or can?
Well, what's the verse? Is it Paul where he talks about like?
Okay, you're getting ahead of me.
Okay, sorry.
I'm going to show this video and then I'm going to quote. I think that verse.
Okay. Yeah.
And then get your thoughts.
Cool.
Did you watch this when I sent it the first time, or do you ignore me like usual?
Probably.
Which one?
Yep.
I did not watch it.
Okay.
Satanists speak out on Halloween. Watch this.
So a lot of Christians, they think there's nothing wrong with, celebrating Halloween and all this stuff. And Casey, you being in Satanism and God delivering you from that, healing you and bringing you freedom, what are your thoughts on that?
October 31st is like the ultimate day. It's like Christians, Easter and Christmas all rolled in together. The celebration usually starts at dusk and goes on. The golden hour is 11 p.m. to midnight. That's when the most demonic forces are out and about and active. People should not participate in any way, shape, or form because you are worshiping the devil. There is no two ways about it. I mean, he's real happy that Christians allow their kids to serve him one night of the year. I mean, he's pretty happy about that.
Okay, so I'm going to show you that. I don't want your commentary yet, because I have an answer that I'll probably forget by the time we get there. But I'm going to pull up that verse that I have. It's 1 Corinthians 10, verses 20 to 22, and it's part of the whole discourse about food sacrificed to idols and that kind of conversation, which is a valuable conversation to have. That gets into not like, I mean, kind of subjective sin, not subjective sin necessarily, but where you're getting to, some things are sinful for some people that aren't sinful for other people, necessarily, which kind of makes us stodgy Baptists uncomfortable because it's like, no, the thing's the thing always.
Sure, yeah.
But 1 Corinthians 10, verse 20 to 22 says, this is the ESV, I imply that what pagan sacrifice they offer to demons and not to God. I do not want you to be participants with demons. You cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons. You cannot partake of the table of the Lord and the table of demons. Shall we provoke the Lord to jealousy? Are we stronger than he? And then we get that next verse, which is super famous. People use it out of place all the time. All things are lawful. Some translations say all things are permissible, but not all things are helpful. So we have a Satanist, or a former Satanist, I should say, who says, hey, Halloween is like all bad. And for Christians to participate, that's a problem based on my lived experience as a Satanist.
Yeah, I think These are like just my initial thoughts. So there's a real possibility here, just to clarify for believers. My opinion could change if I think about this a little bit more in depth or a little bit harder. But I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier, where it's like that was what you believed and what you celebrated before coming to Christ. There's not a believer out there who thinks that demons are especially present like from 11 to midnight and then are intentionally still celebrating Halloween.
Or seeking them out.
Yeah, exactly, or seeking them out. So it's like it's the same thing as like Easter. Let's take the premise that it is a pagan holiday. We can still, I think, transform that and
nevertheless, the high places are not removed.
Sure. I understand that. I understand what like that sentiment. But then there's also the fine line where it's like that was a very particular time. The principle still applies where you want to remove out all like aspects of sin. But again, I don't think believers are going into Halloween thinking, you know what, this is probably demonic, but I'm going to do it anyway. If they do that, then I would probably encourage you to just refrain from this. I think we have to take this person's word for it. Like that, that this just is like, it is what it is. And nobody really knows what Halloween actually means. But it's really all demonic. Maybe for some people, but that doesn't mean it is that thing. You know what I'm saying? Like that doesn't mean that's true. I don't know. Those are just some initial raw thoughts.
Yeah. Preston, what were you going to say? Because I think you were going into that passage, right? When I cut you off? Or were you going somewhere
I'm not
else?
sure if and not that passage that you read specifically, but
Okay.
Where, again, I think it's Paul where he talks about like, basically if I think it's sinful for me, then for me to do it is sin. You know what verse I'm talking about? I don't remember I have no idea what the reference is.
It's probably in 1 Corinthians 10.
It probably, yeah. It fits.
We're
in there
really
somewhere.
good at Bible.
Yeah, we'll find it later. Put it in the show notes or something, maybe. But no, I mean, I think like that's kind of where I land on all this, right? Like there's sort of to your point earlier, where the civilizations have been around for forever. There's 365 days in a year. There's a good chance that we're going to overlap each other on some things at some point. So like. It could be all kinds of things that I do throughout my day, like eating with a fork may be some sign of worship to some god in some like really obscure religion that I don't know about. I know that's a ridiculous example, but you know what I'm saying.
Possibility stands. Yeah.
So,
Sure.
So then, if basically then that comes down to a matter of the heart, right? I could be doing things that worship another god, but I'm not doing that intentionally. I have no knowledge of that. And so likewise, I have no knowledge of like what carving a pumpkin means or what like my kids getting candy in their bag mean, all these other like things that we do for Halloween. And so for me, it comes down to a matter of like, what is the Holy Spirit like prompting in my heart? If like we're doing something for Halloween and all of a sudden it's like, I don't know, this feels icky. Like, okay, well that's the spirit that the Lord gave us.
Sure.
Telling me to like hold the reins, pull back a little bit, and good, like follow that prompting. But until I get that, like again, I don't know what like any of these specific things mean. And so I think you can't like accidentally stumble into like worshiping Satan through these like little things like carving pumpkins and stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point with like we all have the same Holy Spirit. And and that's why I say like to critically analyze it, because if we've all given it at least two thoughts and know like what God's word says and we still feel it's okay, then that means the Holy Spirit that God promised to help us in that kind of situation
Right.
like has said essentially by his silence consent for us to do that. Now if you do have a check on your spirit, you should listen to that, because the Holy Spirit by the same token may prompt and provoke you away from that. Were you going to say something?
No, that's good. I just wanted to like affirm your point. Like it's like you don't just stumble into devil worship as a believer. Like it's not.
No, I will accidentally take the mark of the beast.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, that whole like second video is a lot of like just like what do you like?
Like if you're out,
the devil's
from
just like
11 to
they're
12.
doing it right. Like the demons are watching their like 10:59.
Well, so
okay, go.
Yeah. For once, I'm kind of being the.
The pullback.
Pullback. Because I think, and I mean, it's not necessarily a secret that in that kind of thing, I tend to lean more conservative. Sure. But I think a big part is worship, and worship isn't active. It's a specific active choice to give worship. So when she says in that video, like, by doing this, you are worshiping Satan. It's like, well, worshiping
Maybe.
is
Yeah,
a
it's like-
strong word.
For sure. Yeah. Like, does the devil have full reign
Right.
over one day where any activity you do that day?
Yeah, like a demonic
Is
like
all of a
purge
sudden-
or whatever.
In which case, like, everything that you do, like,
Right.
is that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I do. So, worship, I think, is a strong word.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think participation is something we should be careful with,
Yeah,
right? And
is
so that's
it
the
a
language
tacit-
that Paul uses is participating with demons.
That's good.
But this is like, it's an interesting passage anyway. Honestly, maybe we can do a whole thing on 1 Corinthians 10 one day, because it's like the whole first 20 verses roughly are like, hey, people are going to squawk about this, that, and the other. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. It's where your heart is.
Yeah.
But also, you could be participating with demons and don't do that because it makes God mad. But anyway, everything's permissible. And like, Paul, I'm going to need you. This is like when Peter says,
sure.
hey, Paul has said things that are hard to understand.
Yeah.
This is one of the things that he's thinking about. So it's worth, again, I think it's just worth consideration, because you also have the passage that Jesus tells the parable of like the demon that leaves the house, comes back, finds it clean, and brings 7 more. Like, so how does that feed into this same idea as far as being participants with demonic forces versus...
That's the consideration, right? Where it's like, is the Christian participation in Halloween a tacit acceptance to all of the negative that comes along with it?
Right.
Yeah, that's the question, I think. So, and I think that's where the conviction will be, is like, if you as a believer in Christ Jesus don't want to in any way give credence to this type of event, that's I think a good conviction.
Yeah. It's not like we shouldn't shame people
Of course.
who don't want to participate. Like, we have several in our church who elect to not participate in trunk or treat, and it's like, hey, okay,
Yeah.
go for it.
But there's also, like, take trunk or treats, for example, is a good way to take an event like this and, dare I say, reform it to some extent, like where, like,
on Reformation Day.
yeah, right, that's right, where you can transform something, redeem it perhaps to an extent. Like, so let's again, I just for the sake of argument, let's say this is, you know what, participating in Halloween, if you do it, it's devil worship. Like, can't be doing this. You're participating in demons. That Paul would say. If that's true, then we should avoid all aspect of it. There's no hope for it. You just got to lock yourself indoors that day.
Kit Kats are off limits always.
That's yeah.
Which Chris Gully would say.
Interesting.
He's against Kit Kats?
Candy, any enjoyment?
Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah, right, okay.
It's because of people like Chris that I open it and just take a big bite out of it.
Oh, you're a monster.
Gotta pick a
You got to
side.
break me off a piece of that kit. It's in the song. Okay.
Break me off a piece of that.
Snickers.
He's not an office guy. He
Football
wouldn't
car.
get football cream.
Oh, cream.
Yeah,
That's what-
right. Yeah. Anyway, wow, we got off topic there.
That never happens.
No, what was I?
The key lime Snickers is incredible.
Oh yeah. So like, if that premise is true, I gotta keep going, y'all, before I lose this. Right. All I heard was key lime Snickers. I'm not entertaining anything about that. I hope that's not a thing.
It's
No, I meant Kit Kat. Go ahead
Okay,
with
all
your
right,
real
okay.
thought about real
Okay.
things.
Yeah. Like, so let's say the premise is true. Every participant, then all believers across the board would just reject it. It would be like preached from the pulpit if we knew like there was a day that was just had a
not all
stranglehold.
Because again,
There's
we
one
have
that's
we
Sure,
all
I
have
should-
the same Holy Spirit.
Well, yeah, and I that's an exaggeration because obviously some people still
Yes,
can
yeah.
grieve the Spirit. But I think the point is like, wouldn't there be a much broader acceptance within Christendom? I'm not saying this is a foolproof argument, but I feel like there would be a broader consensus in Christendom that this is bad if that were true, like unequivocally true.
Yeah, well, and I think that there would be a stronger statement from Paul while he's talking about this kind of thing, right? Like, because he does skirt around. He doesn't obviously say like, "Hey, there's going to be this holiday in a few
Yeah.
thousand years,
Right,
that,
right,
like, it's going to get kind of crazy, but don't put skeletons in your yard." But he does talk about like around the like idolatry, partaking with the
Yeah.
world, and things like that,
For sure.
But he never really gives the hard stance that, hey, it is always going to be wrong every single time.
Right.
He says, again, he concludes his argument with all things are permissible, all things are lawful, but not all things are helpful. And I think verse 24, maybe that kind of sums up the heart of a lot of this. Let no one seek his own good, but the good of his neighbor. That's 1 Corinthians
Yes.
10:24.
It's
So
another thing.
like my personal conviction and we talk about this a lot too, where Scripture whispers, we shouldn't scream personally to impose that on other people. So is what we're doing building other people up? I think in some ways, like when we do things like trunk or treat, which you guys are going to do this weekend, we're doing ours on Halloween. Yeah. Like that can be a very beneficial thing. We're providing a safe place for families to come and, show off their costumes, get a bunch of candy. We get to connect with people. It's a felt need. It's a very, very good and beneficial thing. So I think it meets the eye test of 1 Corinthians 10, 23 to 24, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would agree with that. It's like you just be aware of those around you. I think if there's a lot of people around you who, like, especially as a pastor, let's say if I was pastoring a church and I come up with this idea, we're going to do trunk or treat, and then like most people in my congregation are like, this Halloween thing it would be incorrect, I think, to just say you guys are wrong and then just go about it. I think that would not be the way. I would not be respecting my neighbor in that sense and respecting their convictions.
Right. You could maybe point to some of the things we've talked about and just pause it like, hey, so let's critically analyze why it's wrong. And if we still agree it's wrong, hey, more power to you. We're not going to do it.
Right. But like, that's just one of the things, like, why is that worth it at that point? That would be my question to somebody who's like, you know what? Those are just being crazy legalists. I'm going to celebrate it no matter what. I think both heart attitudes can be very problematic. If you're not considering your fellow believer, then what are you even considering? Like,
unless it's on Facebook, right? And then we're exempted.
That's right. Social media doesn't
comment whatever you want.
Well, because it's not an actual human made in God's image on the other side. Yeah. It's just a Russian, so we don't.
You're just angry at their keyboard.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
I can't wait
nice
till we do an episode on social media.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
As we fully participate, maybe overly so in social.
You guys,
fair. Yeah. That's actually a good
the
point.
podcast is, and the Frank voice is.
I'm not saying all social media is bad. Some of it's quite good.
It's quite good. Okay, that has nothing to do with anything. Did we come to an answer? Do we like where we landed?
Does this happen?
Basically, Paul said what we said. True. So
no, I'm.
I would maybe
we're on
say that the other way.
Paul's just agreeing with us, guys. Yeah. No,
it's a good thing he got it right 2,000 years ago.
Right. No, like, is there an answer? Like, I don't know if there's like a black or white answer to this.
Right.
It's one of those.
I guess response. Did we give a satisfactory? Do we feel like we covered the topic, I think so. The conversation?
Yeah, sure.
I think so.
Okay.
Follow your convictions.
If you got questions,
if you're a believer, the Lord gave you the Spirit. Follow the Spirit's prompting.
I think that we overlook that, and that would be another fascinating thing to dive into: is overlooking the prompting of the Spirit.
Like, this is honestly, this conversation to me is no different than any other what we call Christian liberty, right? Like drinking alcohol or what, like, name anything in that sphere, like where the Bible doesn't specifically say like don't do this thing, then like
that's what Paul's talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like, do it unless the Spirit tells you not to.
And he's certainly talking about the law, like specifically.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing that binds you. But yeah, it doesn't mean you just go crazy. Like,
right.
Yeah, and that's, I think, because I think often, all the time, I don't know, whatever. Want to make up words. People will kind of go a little too far, right?
Sure.
Like, you have people show up and even like serving at a church or whatever, and they've got like a gory costume or something that's kind of right on the edge of like.
We've seen. I've certainly been a part of where I'm like,
that's probably not right. And then you and I've sometimes I'm like, hey, you think that's appropriate? It's like, hey, I'm just having fun. It's like, well, okay, now's not the time to get into this, but like we
just consider the implications.
As with
like,
most
it can be
things,
fun to dress up as a jar of peanut butter and jelly.
This is
at a point like you're glorifying,
or you're showing your church's approval of that thing tacitly.
Oh, for sure, that too. Yeah, for sure. But even then, like, if it, like, going back to the Home Depot yard decorations thing, right? Like, you've got your big giant skeleton that's like kind of probably mostly benign, but then like right next to him, there's a giant like werewolf with a machete and a severed head, and that's.
Do they have those at Home Depot?
There's I don't Haley. Not that specifically, but there's some racy ones out there, and it's like at a point I think you're like really glorifying the gory, like,
I think that's where that gets into like pretty obviously participating with demons, like more so than just like is dressing my kid up as Boo from Monsters Inc. like demonic. Well, some people would say totally because monsters and whatever, but that was pretty freaking cute. But
Thank you.
yeah, there's a point where it's like, okay, like now you're just out there,
Right,
And
for
you
sure.
know better, we know better. Just you're being dumb.
Yeah, it's like conviction. There's a line. That's just for yeah. I like that. That'd be a good topic for later.
Yeah,
This is not important at all, but I wish that the Boo thing had happened the same year that Keybone was dressed as Mike Wazowski.
Oh my goodness!
Oh,
that
did
would have
he?
been so
Wow.
And he like what? He break his leg or
'cause
dislocated
it was
his
a
knee or
giant
something?
inflatable
Oh.
thing, like
Oh,
you know the
wow.
bubble balls
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you like get it. It was like a kid's version of that.
She would have been
that he
terrified
had.
though.
And yeah, before the night even started, he broke his ankle. Yeah, like straight up broke it and had. To
And
be
he
in
was like the
thing. Oh, my
MC
word.
for the event, so
Yeah.
he's like hobbling up onto the stage.
Oh,
to
my
keep
word. He
just sat
he,
there the whole
like a
rest of the night,
trooper,
and
went through the rest of it.
He did.
Wow.
Yeah, but he ended up in a like leg scooter or whatever
Yeah,
for a little while
Yeah.
after.
God
Wow.
bless you, Mike
It
Keybone.
was a whole thing. Okay, well, hey, if we feel good about that,
Feel good.
I've got a game for us.
I love games.
This will maybe be a disaster.
Steven's ready to have fun. But first, hey, if you're enjoying the Critical Levitical Podcast, can you do us a favor? Drop a like, subscribe, leave a good review, all that good stuff. If you know someone who might benefit from some of the things we're talking about today, share it with them. Hopefully we can answer a question they may have. Every little bit helps us out, and you can help us reach more people. Hey, that one went all the way through.
That is a long list of words. I can't see what any
I
of them
don't know
say,
what the
but
heck. Oh yeah, hey, no looking.
no, I can't tell what one of them is long, like real long, hippopotamus or something.
Carmen.
Yeah. Word association game. Hippopotamus. Go. First thing that comes to mind.
Watermelon.
Animal.
They
Say
eat watermelons.
watermelon?
Yeah, yeah. You've ever been to the
Oh,
zoo?
okay,
They throw
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, okay.
Weirdo.
Come at me.
No, I just said water. Oh no, I said animal. I don't even remember what I said. Keep going. I was saying earlier,
Going
Carmen
off
is
the rails
obsessed with like, oh my word, Sound of Music. She's been watched that recently.
Like
so she
the
likes
original one
songs.
with
yeah. Oh yeah.
What's
Julie Andrews.
Yeah, thank you.
So she's trying to sing like doe, a deer, a female deer, ray, a drop of golden
That's
sun,
real
and then
cute.
supercalifragilisticexpialidocious is a fun word for
That's
her.
not that. No, that is that movie. Is that no? That's.
Yeah, super.
I thought that was.
I thought that was Mary Poppins.
That is Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
Thank you, Julie Andrews. Either way, one of those. She's seen both, but anyway,
I forgot
yeah.
she was in.
She's watching like a.
You're right.
I always think of Dick Van Dyke when I think
Oh,
of Mary
man.
Poppins, not Julie Andrews. But yeah, shoot. Okay.
No, that's fair. Yeah, which that accent's tragic in that movie, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Whatever. Okay, so we're gonna do a word association game.
Cool.
I'm gonna say a bunch of words.
Kind of scared.
You have to say the first thing that comes to mind as fast as you can.
Oh man, fast.
As fast as you can. No hesitation. No thinking.
Uh-oh.
Just like how you, without hesitation, yelled watermelon in response to hippopotamus.
We're gonna be talking over each
fair.
other. This is gonna be chaotic.
It'll be great.
It's gonna be great.
Okay.
It'll be a blast to listen to. Okay. So we got some music. Okay.
Slowed it down.
Slowed it down. Little set the mood.
This
Okay.
is kind of like a waltz now.
It is kind of like a waltz, except it's still in 4/4.
Yeah, I was like, waltz is definitely not. Anyway, keep going.
All right, you ready?
So I don't know.
All right. Here we go. Halloween.
Candy.
Candy.
Pumpkin.
Patch.
Jack-o'-lantern.
Candy corn.
Delicious.
Good.
Harry
Yeah.
Potter.
Evil.
Good.
I have no idea.
Narnia.
Aslan.
Lion.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Skeleton.
Yeah, that's a skeleton. Yeah.
Tim Burton in general.
Interesting.
Weird.
Okay. Skeletons.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Clanky.
Enneagram.
Demonic.
Evil.
Yeah, good answer. Costumes.
Fun.
Halloween.
Trick or treat.
Also
knock.
Halloween.
Yoga.
I don't know.
Fall festival.
Christian version of Halloween.
Yeah, that one.
Dia de los Muertos.
Ooh,
Coco.
good food. Good food.
Witch.
Probably bad.
Apple.
Pokemon.
Ooh.
Because the
I know.
Money.
Pokemon.
cards.
Reformation Day.
Luther.
October 31st.
That wasn't as fast as you could do. Diablo.
Devil.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Satan. Oh, I thought it ended. Okay.
It did end.
We
but-
ran out of music because we
Yeah,
didn't
we
go
ran.
fast.
Yeah, we didn't go
Yeah, you
fast. Yeah.
How many more are there? This is
Reformation Day. Did we get to Reformation
Yeah.
Day?
Luther. I said Luther.
Oh, yeah. And you just said,
I said October 31st.
Diablo.
The game.
Oh, that's I don't have a good one. The
Ghosts.
game also.
Spooky.
Luigi's Mansion.
Spiders.
Ew.
Ew. Gross.
Cemetery.
Interesting. I don't know how to
Yeah,
react
fascinating.
to that. Yeah. I don't know how to react to that.
Guys, cemeteries are fascinating.
Wait, later.
Twilight.
Sparkly vampires.
Yeah, vampires.
Christmas.
Best holiday ever.
What did you say?
When appropriate.
Inappropriate. I don't know. Now that the music's going, I don't know how to stop. Here, I'm gonna turn it down. That was it. That's all I got.
Oh, okay.
You're gonna beef with me over cemeteries being fascinating when
I didn't
that's
know how
how
to
we
react to
spent our last 3 hours in New York.
What? There are a lot of
Yeah.
cemeteries
Oh
in
man,
New
it was
York.
great. We went
Well,
to
it's the one in Park Slope. The
Green,
big
Oh, by
was
their-
it
yeah, yeah,
Greenwood
yeah.
or something.
No, it's got like some. I don't know. It's
Green
like Paul
something.
Revere's buried there or whatever. I don't remember.
Yeah, but we saw
I don't know
all
if that's
the
the intro.
we saw the what are they called?
It's somebody
the
famous.
big
Mausoleum.
mausoleum of Steinway, Steinway
Like the
pianos.
Steinway.
Oh.
And it was like kind of
Oh,
open. so
Morse.
like
Samuel
when-
Morse, not Paul Revere. They both are involved in communications.
Revere's in there too, isn't he?
No, he's got.
I
Surely he's like in Boston or something, right?
I don't know. He's in a cemetery somewhere. We
New
can just
York's
tell
an old
people we
city.
saw.
I don't
him.
know. Yeah.
It has that. It's got the sister thing to the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, and they point at each other or whatever.
Oh, that's cool.
Or she points
It's,
at
it's the Spider-Man thing.
That's right.
Fantastic. Okay, well,
It was fun.
sweet.
We didn't name drop Kara in this episode. She's gonna be so disappointed.
Well, no, you did, so we got it covered.
Hey, Kara.
You're so weird. Anyway,
Wait, who care, Preston?
no, Kara's fine. You guys realize, like, most of the time you just copied each other. You copied him most of the time. You would wait to see what he said, and then you just copied him.
Listen.
For the
this
record,
is
that
the
was
thing
Preston copying me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We,
Well, they'll see it on video.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. You guys don't know this about me, but I'm real bad at word association games.
I did
I
that.
can't. I don't think on my feet like
And
that.
did you notice the music, like, sped up and
It
got more
did.
angsty? As
It was making me.
It did.
I was big stressed.
It worked.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was good.
I did that
like,
on purpose. I literally told Haley, I was like, hey, I sped it up. She's like, why? She's like, because it's going to mess with Preston.
It did.
So-
It did. I had the first couple, and then it was.
It made me
it was
feel like I have to
downhill.
go faster. You know?
Yeah, well, it's like I've never played Luigi's Mansion, but the Mario Kart levels of Luigi's
Oh, yeah,
Mansion,
yeah,
I played
yeah.
a ton. And once you get to the last
Oh,
lap,
yeah.
it's the same thing, but it's
That's
like
right.
way
Oh, yeah,
faster.
that's-
Well,
Yeah,
the
I hate
normal
that.
music does that too, but it's just spooky in Luigi's Mansion.
I'm never
it speeds
not-
up though. Mm-hmm. Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
In what? In what?
Each lap.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
The normal music does. Yeah,
Right.
sorry.
Which is
But
like
then Luigi
I'm never
Mansion-
not absolutely smoking my kids when we're playing that, but even still, I'm like,
It's a rite of passage.
What is that? Like, so I have like the turn assist and the something else on for my kids, like all the things, and they still somehow finish dead last.
because
It's
like for half of it they're stuck against a wall. It's like,
like
just
how with the
back
turn
up.
assist, like
Yeah, I don't
prevents that. I have no idea.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, it has a thing where it like won't let them go off the road. The only level they can beat me on is Rainbow Road because it won't let them go off the road.
Oh,
But
okay.
I'm
I was like,
flying off the
how?
road,
How
like,
is that
all the
possible?
flipping
That makes
time.
sense.
Yeah. You gotta slow down a little bit.
They have a distinctive.
There's a
advantage.
lesson in there, sermon illustration.
Yeah,
be.
fly off the road in Rainbow Road because it's horrible.
Yeah. I would like to just add something real quick too, because in word association you said Harry Potter and I shouted evil, and I don't mean that. I don't know enough about it. I literally know nothing.
I want to go back.
No, it's a word. You
Don't
can't
come for me.
Go back on the word
You
association.
did say
game.
evil. I didn't even.
Yeah,
think about that.
I don't mean that. Like
You said evil.
I
was
was
something too. That was.
Maybe. Oh, Enneagram.
Oh yeah.
No, I'll stand by that one. Yeah, I don't.
What
like
did
that
you
one.
say to that one? Did you say evil?
something
also?
similar,
Well, he
yeah.
said evil, so of course you said.
Of course, yeah.
Have an original thought, Preston.
I don't know Harry Potter that well. Is the moral of the story?
It's great.
I didn't mean it. I was making a joke about
It's almost the time of year to watch it.
upbringing. So
I wasn't
It
allowed
is
to watch it
almost
either.
the time. Oh yeah. So here we go, and we can talk more about this later.
Sure.
But as a like teaser for our Christmas episode, Harry Potter, Christmas movie.
Some of them, yeah. I
The
think
first
there's
two.
Yeah. So, is it the second one?
The second one for sure. Right?
Yeah. Is that the one I'm thinking of? Yeah. I would say so. I think during the holiday season, from the spooky season through Christmas, is the prime time to watch.
We'll usually end up watching all 7 of
Agreed.
them.
Same.
But
Sabrina
the first two, I will die on. You don't even know what we're talking about. I will die on the hill of being Christmas movies.
Yeah.
I don't think that's too hot
I
of
don't
a
hate
take. I think
that.
there's a lot of people that
at
would say that.
what point do you take a break to watch Hans Gruber fall off of?
Well, that's the
Nakatomi
beautiful
Plaza?
thing is that he's all throughout the Harry Potter movies. So
Wait, really?
yeah,
No.
yeah.
Is it like the same actor?
Yeah.
Really?
No, Hans Gruber, the German terrorist.
No,
with the
okay,
British
no, I know.
accent,
I'm like,
is-
I'm trying to suss out whether you're messing with me or not because I do not know Harry Potter.
Yeah, no. What's his face? Our dearly departed. What's his name? Snape,
the
the actor, Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
Alan Rickman is like
R.I.P.
one of the main professors in in all the Harry Potter
Okay.
movies. Yeah, great
He's one of the main
character arc.
characters.
One of the main characters. Yeah, fantastic.
I need to.
character
I need to
arc.
watch. We started watching it the other day. I need to actually watch them. The other thing. I tried to read the books in like elementary school.
And then your mom burned them. Danielle. if
No,
you're
no,
watching,
no.
sorry.
She like because we had the accelerated reader thing. You got to read.
Oh, yes,
Take
yes.
like book tests or whatever. And I just I like to read. I don't like being told what to read. I've always really enjoyed. That shouldn't surprise you any.
He hasn't touched his Bible in years.
I've always really enjoyed nonfiction books.
Yeah, like Harry Potter.
Sure, yeah, but those like they're just like I couldn't read the encyclopedia for AR. Like it's worth half a point, or like all Bible books were like worth half a point. Like there just wasn't any like nonfiction that was worth anything, and so I was always forced into like fiction books, which I just never got super excited about. And so I started Harry Potter, and I was like, this, like our boy says, like it's just so many words.
Oh yeah, good old Nate.
Bargatze, yeah,
Oh yeah.
Books are just
the most words.
I didn't get into Harry Potter until like later in life as a young adult, because I was gifted a Harry Potter book when I was in like 4th grade, like when they were coming out, and somehow like the gift was the second Harry Potter book, and so I was like, okay, I'll read that, and then I got in and it was like, what is happening?
Doesn't make any sense.
I actually have not read the books. I've read
Oh,
half
really?
the first one.
Half of the first one.
Yeah, it's because I never read them in middle school, high school. I wasn't
Yeah.
allowed to, and that's when I would have been really interested in them.
Yeah.
I'm sure I would love them. I hear great things. I love the movies.
Check out the audiobooks.
that'd be a
The
good idea.
Stephen Fry ones are very good.
I should, yeah. I've got like
Interesting.
5,000 Audible credits because I keep forgetting to.
Yeah, do that.
Stephen
Actually,
Fry.
yeah,
What an interesting guy.
he is an interesting guy.
This has nothing to do with maybe tangentially related to Harry Potter. I think we've talked about before the Artemis Fowl series. Did you ever read those?
No to both.
Oh, it was really good.
So
it's like-
you haven't talked about them and haven't read them.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter. Anyway, it's like young kid was like
and
also a
birds.
secret agent.
And also a chicken.
What?
Or is he a duck? I don't know.
Fowl Artemis.
That's good.
I got
No.
you. I got you.
No,
Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate it.
Yeah, right.
I'm with you now.
So anyway, that's episode 0002 of the Critical Levitical Podcast.
Nice.
Do you
That was-
approve
that
the
was the
amount of
right-
zeros?
that was the right amount of
Okay.
zeros.
We're both counting.
We've made it a thing now. You're gonna screw up one of these days. And I'm gonna be here for it.
I probably will. On episode 999, I will mess it up. Okay.
Okay.
Fair.
That's,
Zero,
that's
zero,
going to be the
999.
easiest one. Wait, are we going to skip episode 666?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
You can't do that.
And episode 13, we'll just go straight to 14.
Ooh, yeah.
All right. Well, hey, 2 weeks from now, we're going to talk about more stuff on the Critical Levitical Podcast.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you in November.